Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me for another video. I decided I would do one about why I decided to quit teaching full-time because I know school has started back. I'm in the Southeast in the United States. School has started back for us. We're in like week 3, and all over the country, teachers will be going back. And I just wanted to share my experience around teaching and my recent decisions. So there's 3 reasons why I decided that I just could not teach full time anymore. So the first one is unrealistic expectations. So as you know, we all experienced something that never in a million years that we think we would experience. And I mean, it literally was just an unrealistic expectation placed on teachers. And now, of course, as a teacher, I at that point had been teaching 20 years. So I understand the idea of teaching is never a 9 to 5. You never work 40 hours a week. It's always some variation of like 50, 60 hours a week. You just kind of know that. But when it moved from, okay, we're just going to all teach from home, which was the first one, like, huh? So we all had to scramble to find like places and like, what? How are we even doing this? So then from there, it moved to, okay, we're going to bring you all back. We're going to bring the kids back, and we're going to give the parents an option. So some kids can stay online and some kids can come face to face. And so literally you would be teaching your online kids and your face-to-face kids at the exact same time. And after about, 2 months of this, and that started, for our school year, it started in October and it went until the remainder of the school year, which will be May. You realize, or at least I realized after like 2 months, okay, I cannot do a good job doing this. And as someone who, like, hopefully most teachers, we really like to do a good job, I realized, okay, this is not a matter of, okay, spending more time on this. Like, this isn't, okay, well, instead of working 55 hours a week, I'm going to do 65 and then I'm going to be able to figure this out. No. So it just was very stressful. And also, it just felt defeating because you're somebody, you want to do a good job. And either way, you feel like somebody's getting the short end of the stick. So either you feel like your face-to-face kids are getting the short end of the stick, or you feel like your online kids are getting the short end of the stick. So that was my first strike where I started to think, I don't know if I can do this much longer. The second reason why I decided I just could not teach full time anymore was because a lot of schools have moved towards this train the trainer model. And so in essence, what that means is that if you are proficient at something, the expectation is that on top of your job, now you're going to turn into almost like a trainer. So you're going to be sharing with your team and your colleagues. You're going to be training them. And now, well, I know that, to some that might sound really selfish, and it's kind of like, well, why not? Why do you want to help people out? But if you're already working 50 to 60 hours a week, just trying to do a good job with your basic job, then to add another 5 to 10 hours a week, because now you're trying to help the people around you, can be exhausting. And unfortunately, oftentimes administrators do not like when you say no. And then it looks like you're not being a team player because you don't want to help people grow and the whole 9. So that was my second reason. And then my third reason is probably what you all thought would be my first reason, which is the low pay. Now, I always, when I talk about, my teaching and my pay, I like to preference it with, technically, it's not low pay. I think sometimes people are mistaken when you think, oh, teachers don't make any money. Not exactly. So in essence, what happens is we don't make a good amount of money relative to the number of degrees and experience that we have. So for instance, I have 3 degrees. So I have a bachelor's in psychology, I have a master's in elementary education, and then I have another master's, often called a specialist, in instructional technology /media. And so I've been doing this over 20 years. So if you added that together, you would think, okay, well, clearly someone who's been doing something for 20 years and they have a couple degrees, that we would probably be like making six figures, and we're not. However, when I made this decision that I couldn't, I didn't want to teach full time anymore, I was making high 80s, so maybe like 88. So it wasn't that that wasn't decent money, but for the amount of time I've been doing it, it probably wasn't the best, but we just know that comes with the job when you're a teacher. But once you add in just the exhaustion and just the impact it's having on your health and your just mental well-being, you're like, I think I could maybe find something a little less stressful that might pay something comparable. So around that time, I really started to pick one of my colleagues' brains because she worked part-time. And at first when I met her, I just thought, oh, poor thing. Like she probably couldn't find a full-time job. So she's doing this until, something full-time opens up. And so once I got to know her, she was like, well, no, actually, I work part-time because I have a business and I'm a mom and a wife, and it just gives me more time to do the other things in my life. And I was like, And I was like, do you still get benefits? And she was like, yeah, because oftentimes, that's very heavy on people's minds. It's like, well, healthcare is so expensive. What am I going to do? So I really started like toying with this. So I would say probably by the end of January of that school year, I knew. I was like, you know what? I can't do this full time anymore, but I don't want to leave totally because I can't imagine doing anything else. Like I absolutely love teaching. So what I did was I started thinking, could I live on half my income? Because in essence, that's what it was. Like, could I live on it? And I said, you know what? I'm going to try. And I wanted to try then because I felt like, I would chicken out if I didn't do it then. So what I did is I told anybody who would listen, I really want to work part-time next year. And so it just so happened that one of my administrators knew of a position that was available, and it was part-time. And up until this point, I had taught 16 years in elementary, 4 in middle. And this position was high school. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like I've never worked with high school students. I don't know if I can do it. Well, luckily that summer, because I knew that I wanted to work part-time, I worked summer school and I had a chance to work with 8th graders who would then be 9th graders, in a month. And I was like, oh, they're not that different. I think I might be able to do it. So I ended up going back over the summer and taking a certification to be certified in 6 through 12 English, because up until that point, I was certified like K-8 in reading and language arts, but I couldn't teach high school. So I took the test. I even took the business education test because I was like, just in case, maybe I can do that. Well, luckily I passed and ta-da! I was able to get this part-time position. And so last year was my first year doing it, last school year. And I mean, it definitely was an adjustment. Do not get me wrong. But it's been so wonderful in the sense of it just mentally, it's just different. It just feels better. I get to do my first love, which is teach, because I'm only there for the first 2 blocks. So like, I don't really go to meetings. I don't have any duties. I literally just get to teach. So it's heaven. The other thing is that it really has helped me be more cognizant of my spending and my money management, because like before, I would just spend what I made. And then I realized, wait, I don't have to spend that much. And now that I have no choice, I'm really, being very intentional because I do want to maintain this part-time working. So anybody who's out there, if you're a teacher and you're really like, oh, I can't do this anymore, I would strongly urge you, before you leave the profession totally, I would strongly urge you to consider if your district has that option of working part-time. Totally try it. Even if it means you have to switch like levels like I did. So like I'm teaching high school. I had never taught high school before, but it's so worth it because I'm telling you, just the mental, like just freeness that you feel, like you still get to do what you love, but you don't have all that kind of other stuff that you get caught up in. And I mean, for those of you who, really enjoy teaching, I think it's like a win-win. Now, if your big thing about teaching is the pay, then of course that's not going to be a good solution. But I have found it wonderful. And luckily, because I am in high school, there's a lot of ways to make some extra money, whether it be like standardized testing on the weekend, ACT, SAT, summer school, tutoring. There's some other things that you kind of have access to once you enter the world of high school, at least in my district. But even still, honestly, even if like you could work part-time and get that money and those benefits, and even if you had to do like DoorDash or something on the side or some other thing, it is so worth it. Like I jokingly tease my students and I tell them, if I show up at your house delivering DoorDash, go ahead, tip me well, because I'm really committed to this part-time lifestyle. So I hope my story has kind of helped somebody or maybe inspired you a little bit to just take a chance. And, at the end of the day, last year, this time was my first year trying this part-time thing. And I just told myself, you know what, if it doesn't work, at least I tried. They always need full-time teachers. So worst case scenario, I could always go back to full-time teaching. But I strongly urge you to at least try. And yeah, until later, have a good rest of the day and be grateful. Bye-bye.